Guys, if you have questions, just shoot.
Hi, I was going to say I love the film.
Thank you very much.
It was beautiful. My question is, what made you do the pigeons, like Facebook updates and like the...
Where the idea came from?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was logistics. It's a road movie, and I wanted to do. I was taking the bird universe very realistically, and I needed to find something where they could still communicate worldwide and find news and know where the storks are, without making it fantastical. And that was the idea, and then it became really funny.
And it kind of developed.
Yeah.
So what you see on screen now is something that we not started with. We started with pure online owls and online birds, and then at some point we heard we were allowed to get the original sounds.
Yeah. And then we went crazy.
And as you heard, we couldn't stop. This is what happens. Who's next?
Here in the front.
I hold it.
Okay. First of all, congratulations. It's a beautiful, touching movie.
Merci.
Very good. My question is regarding production, because at the beginning it was like it's a 4-country co-production and everything. So how did you manage to do like a work split and
you pray a lot, no?
and the pipeline and everything? But anyways,
we
can also talk a little more.
We will talk for like a week about that. I think it's complex, but it's possible if you sit down with all the studios and everyone's you've chosen each other because of the different competencies, and then you lay a big plan over all the processes needed to be done, storyboard somewhere and animation somewhere, rendering and lighting somewhere, and then we split it, and then we made it work, but with a lot of people who really had a lot of competence on that. And that was, I think, one of the crucial points to make a co-production work. It's really that everyone believes in it, but really also that you split the work in a good way. Yeah.
And it's the internet, it's the big difference. It's a lot of programs around, not to mention Skype.
And Skype, yeah, we Skyped a lot. And traveled,
and travel and there's programs to organize everything.
We had like a Facebook for internal for all the assets. It's called
yeah, we're not saying any brand names now.
We're not. We don't.
So it's kind of work. As you can see, we are here.
Thank you.
Half alive. So.
And the film will be out in France in the fall, in 18th of October.
Yes.
Right.
Under the title of Voyage de Ricky. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I guess, I don't know.
Yes.
Congratulations, and I just wanted to know, how did you get the idea about Stork?
You mean the story idea or the
Yes.
storks? Oh, okay.
About why the storks? Why these birds?
Well, storks to me were the biggest contrast to the small brown sparrow. The tallest white bird that I could find was that. And it just, I think it was also really nice for me to have this image of because storks bring babies supposedly in the legend, and I like that image of a stork bringing herself a baby home. That kind of was in my head, and yeah, that was the reason why the storks, because contrast, size relation is really interesting. And the idea for the movie came when I was eating French fries and feeding them to the sparrows in front of a fast food restaurant, which name we will not say. And I stopped eating fast food. This was 10 years ago.
Yeah, right.
But I was feeding them and watching them, and it was September, and a flock of ducks were flying overhead in a V formation, and I remember asking myself, why do sparrows don't fly to Africa? And the question of why do sparrows don't fly to Africa led us all here, and you.
And by the way, the storks bring the babies. Don't let him destroy the legend.
Yeah.
Jesus, Reza. If you don't ask, we start singing again.
Okay.
Yeah. You have a question. Maybe you give him your microphone.
Congratulations for this beautiful film.
Merci.
And I have a question. Which techniques and softs did you use for this realization?
For the birds, you mean, or for the whole thing?
For all the film.
It's probably the wrong thing to ask the director, because I certainly don't know. Because the guy who make this look good are not here, but they deserve a big applause now.
Yes.
No, it's really true. It's no irony to it, because it's that the guys who make this look so good are often in the soft focus area, and they really shouldn't be. So they made a great job, but it's I don't know, a ton of software which I can't pronounce.
I mean, I can give you some names. I mean, we ran. It was Modo and Maya and Photoshop and I think Arnold, and we composited. Not Arnold.
No.
Anyways, I think it's a technical question we don't know.
That's the proof you shouldn't ask directors this kind of question.
Creative. Do you have a question?
Oh yeah.
Is there
Yeah, sorry.
is there a big production and character design?
If it was a lot of work to do it, I mean, yes, it always is, and it was a long process, and it took a long while to make the birds look like this, because like as we have limited options, of course, budget-wise, we have to find techniques to make them look real, but not too real. So we were trying to find a look like what we call a cartoony realism, because it was important to us that you can believe the characters, but without staring at photographs. So it took a while to get there.
I also want to add, the design went through many stages of look, because for a long time we weren't also quite sure how we're gonna make it, and so we also had really crazy cartoony. We went from all over the world, I mean all over the styles, until we arrived at this what you're seeing.
Thank you. I really love Olga.
Yeah.
She's good. And not Oleg?
Not Oleg. What about Oleg?
Congratulations. Well, she talked about Olga, so when did you get the idea of this crazy hole?
There you go.
In a very, very early version of the script, Richard was adopted by owls. And I always had Olga as a very cool sister of Richard. And then many, many versions later, the Storks arised, and then it was like, oh, now he's with Storks. And then Olga was such a cool character that she just survived that rewrite. And I think for Oleg and Olga, I was looking for something that was strange and like a little bit, but still lovable, and also maybe still acceptable. And so that was the imaginary friend Oleg, who might be real. You never know.
Hi. First of all, thank you so much. It was a really great movie. I just wanted to help you out because we Sven Panike from Reza
Yeah.
we met him.
Yeah.
They used mainly Houdini
Yeah.
and Mantra to render.
Thank
That's
you.
what
Thank
it looks like.
I was gonna say Houdini, but
I just didn't want to brag. I knew all that.
Sorry. I also have a question.
What's
It
for
is
no
like
that?
I was really impressed because it's a road movie. You have so many locations. Like
Yes.
how did you decide? I think in the story process there were maybe more, or how did you decide on the main locations, which are
There were definitely more.
yeah?
There were definitely more, yeah. And every time we cut a location out, we called the producer and said, "We just cut a location out. We saved you 100,000 bucks." You know? So when you want to cut the movie, no. We just like every time we wrote her a mail. So there were much more
Then they
locations.
wanted more characters, so it's
Yeah. Therefore, yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's like, it's certainly rules you that think you shouldn't do in animation. if you go in, if you're independent, it's like don't make road movies, don't make water, don't make like
Don't make
bird-
feathers.
don't make feathers, don't make birds. We like that was all on our bucket list and we did it all. So, but I think it was cool that we were just had to be inventive and have to find a different way of doing all these things in a nice looking way. I hope.
So next
And-
next film is a penguin in one room.
No, it's slugs without any skin. They're like, no,
Now it's going to go about Oleg, right?
yes.
Yes.
Fantasy, right?
In one room.
No, I also want to say the good thing about these small birds is that the scale, like the camera we tried to stay close to the characters, and that way we could also just, focus on one little corner, and then when we go further out, it becomes map paintings and all this kind of stuff.
So you said you had many different versions of the script and you evolved and everything. At what point did the producer came on board? What version from the very beginning or not? And what was more or less the budget on the movie, if you can?
Should I go
Yeah,
first?
sure.
I mean, I met her at a party. When was this? 2008.
2008.
And she, we know each other from Berlin, and it was like, what do you do? What do you do? And then I was like, I have a movie that I want to make when I'm big and famous and in America, and then I want to make this movie.
And
she's
grown
like,
up.
yeah, and what is? And she's like,
When you're grown
what
up.
is this film? And then I gave her a pitch in the kitchen of this friend that we both have, and she was like, can you write that down? And then I wrote it down, and then we got screenplay funding in Germany really quickly, and that was the first moment when we were like, oh. Okay, interesting. So there, it had
Support.
It had some support really early on, and then that really helped us to keep going and going and going. And then script development took until 2013.
Yeah, we
Something?
developed and then we it was quite an underdog project actually, and we developed for a long time and did visuals on the side, and then we connected with Toby, who's an experienced director, because Reza, it was your first feature animation film, also my first feature animation film. I had done live action films before. So and then we kind of moved into the animation world and got co-producer on board. Toby was on board since 2013. We made a teaser and we traveled all the markets and we got really good co-producers on board. And so altogether it took 8 years. Yeah. And development is the most important thing. One should do that for a long time.
I want to be faster.
The budget.
The budget, 10 million euro. Yeah.
I have another one.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
You're warming up.
Thank you for the film. I enjoyed it very much. I would like to ask about the distribution.
Yeah.
Where was the world premiere? Is it today? Or
No, the world premiere was
And
at the
what are the
Berlinale
plans, or-
in the competition of the generation on the 12th of February this year. And then we've been to some festivals. We've been to TIFF Kids in Canada. We're going to Shanghai next week. And it's been distributed already. It's sold worldwide by Global Screen, a sales agent from Germany. And it's now been out in many countries in Europe, like the Nordics, East Europe, Russia, Poland, Italy, Spain, Germany, since beginning of May. And it's coming out in the US this summer.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yes. It's in the UK in July, it's in France in October, and Benelux in October. And then China, and some other countries. So it's, but that was the one I remembered. No, it's been very, very nice to have an original story being spread out to the world like that. And it's really going really well in Latin America.
Yeah. Yes.
I have
yes.
1 million
you're-
viewers in the cinema in Latin
Great.
America. It's really amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was the experience of directing and who did what as a team?
We did everything.
Me or you? What you said, I didn't want You mean how it worked? I think we basically did it together. I think this is how it went. It was like when it comes to the design animatic storyboard, we were sitting in the same room fighting all day. It was a nightmare. So that's why we still have this. This is
Oleg,
no,
Oleg
so
is
we
the
basically
preview.
was sharing. Then at a certain point when the pre-production was done, when the animatic was done, Reza had more the fun of traveling around to the other studios, like in Belgium and Luxembourg, and I stayed home.
On
So,
Skype.
but yeah, I know, well, yeah, Skype, and so like basically, but at the end of the day, it was basically we did it like one person.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, there was
Same.
no dividing. No, there was no process that he just did, or I just did by myself.
Or
It
the
was just,
decisions you took together.
every single one, except one
We're still
I never
friends.
told you.
We're still friends.
One last question.
Hello, thank you and congratulations. It was a great film. 90 minutes that passed like 15.
Oh,
Great
wow.
timing and many references, the funny things about the Star Wars, Pirates of Caribbean, and Lord of the Rings, and Gollum, and funny. And I have a question about maybe a request, or what do you think? The most of film for young audience has strange, I don't know how to say it. The young heroes are much smarter than the adults. Yeah, it's most of all at the Disney films and here also, I think. But the psychologically and emotional for children, it is very important to feel that they have a support in their parents, and they will be protected. Yeah? And here are the children are smarter than the adults. Yeah? And what do you think about it? Because I think it's 90% of films for children is like that. Yeah? The Peppa Pig is like the father is totally nothing. The Frozen is like parents are, you know, they only close the Elsa in the room and that's all.
Yeah.
And what do you think about it? Should children have the films that will not be didactic and moralistic too much, but maybe supporting the role of the parents and that stuff?
So your question is if we agree on that theory that
No. What do you think about it?
Well, actually, I would say, like, I don't really think that Richard is smarter than his parents. He's just has so much momentum
Indeed.
inside of him and so much energy that he's just going for it. Because if you're to be honest, everything his father says is right. You know, he can survive the migration. If he would have gone with the Storks, he would die. He was simply protecting him. He was right, but he just wouldn't listen. And if you say like, he's like, well, you know, he's not a stork. That's not very clever. If you see the only thing we are with him is because he's a boy, and we see like, yeah, in your head you are, but you have to learn to be yourself. You know, which is of course what this movie is about. But so I'm not quite sure if his parents are, if he's more smarter than his parents. It's just like he wants it so much that he just doesn't care. You know, so it's that's what it is.
And I mean, in terms of my response, it's a pretty personal story, and it's just reflecting some of the things from my life. And I'm not trying to say that my parents, you know, abandoned me, but you know, it's, to me it was the story. It was about just a little snippet. My father never believed that I would be able to make a movie. And he was from the beginning telling me, you will never make it. I know you are my son, you don't have it. You will not make this movie. So for me, every time he said it, I became stronger. And it's basically this. Richard is basically, you know, trying to prove his father right, that he can do it. And so for me, it's more about that. But it's interesting how everyone sees a different, you know, sees a different version of it. Maybe you want to also. Do you have a feeling?
No, I think the question is interesting because I haven't noticed that is the way most films are, and I don't think in any way it's making the parents ridiculous here. I think, but they're not in the focus. But he needs to emancipate.
They're okay.
Yeah, they want the best. They do everything out of the best will, but he needs to. He's the one in focus. He needs to go on a journey. So. I will take this question with me and philosophy over that. Yeah, but thanks for the input.
I also want to add, I think it's I think it's a good point. I think movies need loving parents too. I think you're right about that. That I think just for the sake of conflict, which you need in movies, you want to create the biggest fear that a child can have, and that is usually not being with your parents or not being protected. And I think there might be better ways, or different ways, I shouldn't say better, different ways to doing that without having to always take the parents away and now go and do your thing. So yeah, it's a good point.
But it works so good.
It works!
You did it. You did it.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you. Listen.
Thank you for all the questions.